Okay, so this is for integrated math periods 1, 3, and 4. Um, Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you're all behaving well. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the problems. As we get near the end, we'll speed it up a little bit, but the first couple are going to be pretty methodical, going through them step by step. So, the first one that we're going to work on is number 33. So we've done up to 32 in class. We may have even done 33. I don't quite remember, but here's 33. So what I want you guys to do is silently, I want you guys to work on number 33 for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then I want to go ahead and the sub to go ahead and hit play. Okay, so hit pause, wait 3 or 4 minutes, hit play. I'm just going to keep going because, I don't need to wait for 3 or 4 minutes. So it's like time travel. Ooh, okay. So we're going to start off by distributing the -5 and the -3. Remember that when we distribute a negative number, we distribute it to both. So it's not -5x and then -15. But it's -5x and then positive 15. The reason it's a positive 15 is because we have -5 times -3. We're distributing that whole -5 right there. Same thing with the -3. We end up with -3x minus 9. So now what we want to do is we want to combine like terms. Now on the left-hand side, we have an 8 and a 13. We add those together to get 21. 21 minus 5x equals -3x minus 9. So now we're at a point where we have to figure out how to get our variables together. Now, in all fairness, you can go either way here, but I like to keep my variables positive. So instead of adding 3x to both sides and ending up with a -2x on the left-hand side, I'm going to add 5x to both sides. And that's going to give me 21 equals, and then 2x minus 9. Now, this is just a two-step problem from here on out. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. That gives me 30 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. And we get x equals 15. So, here's the thing. I think I might change this later on, but this is really a message to the sub. On some of these, I will work one screen at a time. So instead of going from 34 to 35, or 33 to 34 and then to 35, because 33 and 35 are currently on the same screen, I'll just go 33 straight to 35. So, here we're going to distribute the -7 and the -2. Again, I just kind of gave away the first point. But again, what I'd like you guys to do is work on this on your own. For this one's a little bit tougher, so let's go 4 or 5 minutes. See where you can get. If everyone finishes early, then you guys can go ahead and watch it. If people are still working and have been working the whole 5 minutes and want some extra time to see if they can figure it out themselves, that's cool too. So, the substitute, thank you so much for being there today. And feel free to use your discretion as to how much time you give them. If they're not doing anything at all, then just make sure they're taking notes. This is their final review, so they better be, completely zeroed in on what's going on the screen. So, -5m, we then I just totally forgot what distribution was called. It's called distribution, in case you're wondering. -5m minus 7m plus 14 equals 6 plus 6m plus 8. So on both sides now we can combine like terms. On the left side, we combine our negative 5m and our negative 7m to get negative 12m plus 14. And on the right-hand side, we're going to combine our 6 and our 8 to get 14. You do not need to go outside. It is raining. That's my dog, not like a kid. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add 12. Okay, hold on. Okay, now that my dog's outside in the rain, we can continue. Okay, so we add 12m to both sides. And that's going to give us, I don't know, it started over. Cool. Add 12m to both sides, and we get 14 equals 18m plus 14. So we want to subtract 14 from both sides. And that's going to give us 0 equals 18m. We're then going to divide both sides by 18. And we're going to get 0 equals m. Okay, remember 0. It's totally okay to have 0 as your answer. I normally go back and check my answer whenever I get 0 because it's one of those things that it doesn't pop up all that often. So when it does, I like to make sure I'm right. Okay. On we go. So now we're going to do 34. Again, take about 5-ish minutes. Give the class time to work through. And we'll go from there. So hopefully you guys all, got your answers and figured out what it was that you needed to do. And we'll go from there. So, like before, we're going to start off with distribution. So we're going to get negative 18. Draw little distribution lines. Negative 18 minus 9 plus m equals me going through puberty, apparently. Negative 6 minus 12m minus 4m. We're going to combine like terms. So we get negative 17m because we had negative 18 plus 1. Minus 9 equals negative 6 minus 16m. Here again, I like to keep my variables positive, so I'm going to add 17m to both sides. Hey, cool. And we're going to get negative 9 equals negative 6, plus m. We add 6 to both sides. And we get negative 3 equals m. Remember, if you're unsure about what your answer is, you can always go back and check it. So here we'd go back and plug in negative 3 for all of our m's, and if the two sides match up, so we'd get negative 18 plus 3, which would be negative 15. Negative 15 times 3, negative 3 would be 45, plus a negative 3, so we'd have 42 on the left-hand side, and we'd get 42 on the right-hand side as well. Coco, knock it off. Coco, come here. And yeah, so that's how we check our work. So we're done with those. We're done with the multi-step equations. So now we're on to factoring. Now I went over factoring. We did it. That was our bell work yesterday. And then we went over it at the end. I showed you guys how to factor out a binomial like this. So what we want to do, so we're looking at 38 right now. We want to do the prime factorization of each term. 5p cubed, well, 5 is a prime number, so that's just going to give us 1 and 5. And then p cubed gives us 3p's. Now, because 30 is negative, I always need to keep track of that negative. So I'm going to pull out a negative 1 times 30. And then, like I said, I'm just basically going to go and start pulling out prime numbers. Pull out a 2. You get 2 times 15. 15 is 3 times 5. So that gives me a prime factorization of negative 1 times 2 times 3 times 5. So that's the prime factorization of both terms. And the reason we're going through this on through number 40 is because once we start on 41, pulling out the greatest common factor, finding the greatest common factor, and then pulling out the greatest common factor requires you guys to be able to do this skill. So we're just breaking this down. Moving on. Number 37. I guess apparently I'm doing this now. So I have 70a to the fourth minus 80a. So 70, we're going to go 1 and 70, but I guess I did my a's first. So we have 1 times 70. 70 again, I'm going to pull out a 2, so that gives me 2 and 35. 35 has 3, or 5 and 7, rather. Those are its prime numbers. So our prime factorization for 70 is 1, 2, 5, and 7. And then we have our 4 a's. For 80, we're going to start off with negative 1, because it's a negative 80, times 80 times a. 80, we're going to just start pulling out those 2's. 2 times 40. 40 is 2 times 20. 20 is 2 times 10. And 10 is 2 times 5. So that means that our prime factorization here is a negative 1, 4 2's, and then that 5 and that a. Excuse me. And that's my answer for 37. 39, same general idea. We have 30x to the fourth plus 50x squared. $30x to the fourth. We're going to get 1 and 30 out of it. And then 4x's. 30 breaks down to, whoa, gave it away. 2 and 15. 15 breaks down to 3 and 5. So the prime factorization of 30x to the fourth is 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 4 x's. 50 breaks down to 1, 50, and then 2 x's, x and x. 50 breaks down again. There are different ways you could do this, but I like pulling out 2's if I can, then 3's, then 4's, and whatever. I find that's the most methodical way to find the prime factorization. So 50 breaks down to 2 and 25. 25 is 5 times 5. So that gives us 1 times 2 times 5 times 5, and then x times x. So on number 40, I want you guys to try this by yourself. So it shouldn't take much more than about 3 minutes to do this. So, yeah. I'll hold on, and then we'll go through. So hopefully you guys were able to pull out the prime factors. And that's for the first one, that's going to give me -1 and 10 times m. 10 breaks down to 2 and 5. 14 is -1 times 14, or 2 times 7. So, hopefully you guys got that right. Moving on to, I don't know, 41. So, take another, let's say, 7 minutes and do 41, 43, and 45. Okay, so we're probably running close to time here. But we'll keep going a little bit, and that I'd rather give you guys too much than too little. So 4x is going to break down to 2 times 2 times x. 6 breaks down to 3 times 2. Now here, oh right, because now we're actually, it says find the greatest common factor. I forgot, 41. We're in new territory. So this is what we're doing up to 40. We were just doing the prime factorization. So now we're asked to find the greatest common factor of each term. The greatest common factor is the biggest number, which is a factor of both of them. I know that's confusing, what with it being called the greatest common factor and all. So there may have been a little bit of silence there. My cat decided to step on the airplane mode on my computer. So anyway, so what we're doing here is we're going to, also my other cat loves the piano. So we have 2 times 2 times x plus 2 times 3. Now we're asked to find the greatest common factor here. So it's not enough just to sit there and find the prime factorization. We're now going to see what they have in common. So we look at both of those sets and we go, oh, they have a 2 in common. And that's it. So our greatest common factor is 2. So let's look at 43, because 43 is a little bit more complicated. So 14, x to the 5th, turns into 1 times 14, or 2 times 7. We get x times x times x times x times x. So there are 5 of them. So we have, well, 5 x's. Not like 5 x's in real life, because that's a lot of x's. Anyway, so 35x, that's 1 and 35. 35 turns into 5 and 7. So here, we go, oh, they both have a 7 in common and an x. So the greatest common factor here wouldn't just be 7, it'd be 7 times x, or 7x. 45 is -10 minus 18. I want you guys to go ahead and try and figure that out for yourself. Take about 2-3 minutes. Hit pause on the video. Come back in 2-3 minutes and see what you got. Rama, leave her alone. So, we're going to first do the prime factorization. So -10n breaks down to -1 times 10 times n. -1 times 2 times 5 times n. And then -18 gives me -1 and 18. 18 is 2 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. So once I have all of my prime factors written out, I can then go ahead and go, oh, it's a 2. Because the only thing they share is the 2. Now, in all fairness, they also share that -1. So notice I grab that -1 too. So I'm saying their greatest common factor is a -2. Now, in all fairness, you can really go with or without the -1 and say 2 or -2. It really doesn't matter. So 42, 44, and 46. Why don't you, this should probably take you up about the end of the class, but take about 5-6 minutes and try all 3 of these. Okay, hopefully you guys are done by now. So we're going to break off 12x to the 3rd as 1 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. So we have a prime factorization of 1, 2, 2, 3. And then we have 3 x's. 14 breaks down into 1 times 14. 14 is 2 times 7. And then we have 4 x's. So we look for any commonalities. Here we have 1, 2, and 3 x's. I don't know what I just put. Because look, all 3 of these x's match up to all 3 of these x's here. So that's 2x cubed. Would be the greatest common factor. -5x plus 10. We have -1 times 5 times x. 10 is 1 times 10. 10 is 2 times 5. So we pull the 5 out, and we go 5. 18r to the 4th minus 60r plus, oh, why is that taking so long? Plus 6, so 18 r to the 4th. So the r's, we have those 4 r's right there. 18 is 2 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. Excuse me. So we have 1 times 2 times 3 times 3. And then our 4 r's. -60 breaks down to -1 times 60 times r. 60 is 2 times 30. 30 is 2 times 15. And 15 is 3 and 5. So notice again what I'm doing with those larger numbers is slowly making them smaller by just peeling off prime numbers that are their factors. 6 is just 1 and 6, or 3 and 2. So when I look at all of these, I see that they all have a 2 and they all have a 3. So because they have a 2 and a 3, I multiply those 2 together, and I get 6. And 6 is indeed the winner. What's it called? Greatest common factor. So that should do it. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. And we'll pick up with this tomorrow and hopefully be able to knock out the actually factoring out the greatest common factors. So hopefully you all behaved well, and I'll see you all tomorrow.